Welcome to our session. It's about from slow to pro, how you can accelerate your development workflow. I understand last 2 days has been very intense. 2 days are full of talks and solution booth case and so on. And probably you people wanted to leave early today. But anyway, thanks for making it here. So a bit about ourselves. So I'm Raghu, and I have Naveen with me. I'm working as a solution architect in AppViewX, and Naveen is an SD in AppViewX. So AppViewX is a company that manages your TLS certificates end-to-end, renewing it, expiry, and so on. And as part of AppViewX, I had opportunity to actually deploy our product in on-prem using KubeADM. From there, we migrated to SaaS on EKS. And even there, we used K3D at the edge to deploy our agents. I also had an opportunity to work on creating our own multi-tenant queue in-house, which is working in SaaS right now, serving millions of requests every day. Naveen, maybe a bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Myself is Kumar. I am part of a platform team. So I have opportunity to work with zero downtime upgrade in my company, so which include database migration. Audible? Yeah, that include database migration. So with CDC. So let's get with the demo. Yeah.
Okay, so we want to do something different. We want to show you from the eyes of a new SDE, Aditya, who's working on Clusterly, a e-commerce giant. So it's his first week. He's very excited. He wants to go, and his manager gives him a very simple task. He wants to fix a very simple bug. But before we understand what is the bug, let's look at the architecture of Clusterly. Basically, they have 5 microservices, too many languages, Node.js, MongoDB, Java, Python. I think everybody can relate, right? There are too many microservices, too many fragmentation, tech stack, and so on. Now, Aditya's bug is very simple. It's related to how the calculation of shipping and tax is done. But his challenge starts when he wants to reproduce the issue. So as any developer, he goes, he looks at the code, he runs the unit tests, he finds out that the bug is not reproducible using his tests. So what he wants now is an NV where he can go ahead and then debug and find out, right? So he tries to bring up the first service, cart service, where the problem is there. He finds out there is a dependency on Redis. So he spins Redis up. He's still excited, so he goes, brings up the next service, which is the UI front end, and now he feels that, okay, now the product service is also needed, only then the complete things comes up. But product depends on MongoDB. So now a simple journey that started fresh has become a problem for him. He's getting too many errors, he doesn't know what to do, and he's not able to get help because his mentor is also busy. Documentation, as usual, is not updated. He doesn't know what to do now. And he's totally burned out. That's it. What to do now, right? I think this is something which most of us can relate to. But just to read the room, we wanted to take a simple poll. Please take out your phones. You can scan the QR on the right. Or you can also go to menti.com and enter this code. Maybe we'll all see how much of a shared pain this is.
So just try it out. The questions will be shown. Just answer to the question. We will show the result in the screen.
So you can still use the QR code.
Yeah, we can see tech debt, CACD. So interesting.
Just give us one moment. I think we're not able to show you the poll. Okay. So you can see
so much testing,
deployment, documentation. Documentation, I think we cannot help much. Probably AI tools would help. But deployment, testing, and debugging is where we're going to show how you can actually, DevSpace is going to help you out. Thank you. I'll move on to the next question. So how long does it take, once you commit, how long does it take for you to see it actually in the staging and then test? Okay, we have less than 15 minutes.
Oh, that's very cool.
Okay, we'll give a couple of more seconds. All right, so we have varied people here. There are people who see their changes less than 15 minutes. This talk is still for you. You can see how we can reduce from 15 minutes to maybe say a few seconds. And for people who are waiting for greater than 4 hours, you'll see how your whole workflow is going to change after this. And what do you do while waiting for your build? I usually go have a coffee, play foosball, gossip at the time, and then come back. By then, the build would have been over. PUBG, right?
So lots of gamers.
I hope your manager is not here. Multitask, Instagram. All right, Instagram, great. Okay, thank you guys. Thanks for sharing that with us. So why does this wait matters, right? So if you look at most of our surveys show that all developers lose more than 8 hours for unproductive work. It could be managing your local dev environment. It could be waiting for builds and so on. And I think most of you are aware about DORA metrics, which says the most elite performers usually have less than 1 hour lead time. That means once you commit or make a change, you should be seeing it in even in your production in less than an hour. So imagine this, if you have a bug or a feature, you have to debug, maybe fix, and see it even in production less than an hour. How can we reach that elite performance? Maybe the tools that we are going to show might help you. And okay, back to Aditya. Aditya is not a guy who leaves things midway. He knows there's a better way to work. He lists his challenges. He's not able to set up a realistic local environment. He's not able to quickly see his changes. Debugging in Kubernetes is obviously hard. And deploying it into a staging also requires too much hops. So with Kind, he's going to solve his first problem. He'll be setting up very real clusters quickly. And DevSpace will help you to quickly edit, see the changes, and also debug. Right? I think we had enough talk. We're going to do a live demo. Fingers crossed. We have tried this multiple times, even half an hour before. But let's hope the Wi-Fi and demo gods want to help us.
Let's hope we don't need backup video.
Okay, I hope the screen is visible. Okay.
Yeah. If you want font size increase, let us know. It's okay.
Okay, I'm going to create a simple Kind cluster now. So Kind is just Kind in Docker. It's going to create a Kubernetes cluster within a Docker container. The YAML I just now gave has some default configurations like the name of the cluster, the image or the Kubernetes version it has to use, and the ports that has to be exposed outside. Let me quickly show you. So this is a sample configuration. So I'm just bringing up a single node cluster here. One node which also has the control plane as well as the worker nodes. So, but you can even create a multi-node cluster within a Docker container using Kind, which is useful for testing HAs and things like that. Okay. So you can see how quickly it creates a cluster and it comes up. Now I'm going to ask DevSpace to use the context of the newly created cluster. You can see it lists all the Kubernetes context that is in my local. I have the one that right now got created. That's it. And I'm going to ask DevSpace to use the e-commerce namespace where I want my apps to be running. Done. So this is my cluster now. Let's go ahead and then deploy the cart microservice. So I'm going to remove the current configurations that I have. I always like to take risks, so I'm going to do it from beginning. I'm going to init again. So DevSpace is a tool that was done with developers in mind from Loft Labs. They're also one of the sponsors in KubeCon. I think vCluster is also one of their product. So this is completely developer friendly. So you can see I've chose my project. It's a Java Gradle. My project is already using Customize, so I'm going to use Customize. My Helm charts are in a specific place. Let me quickly copy the path. My charts are over here. And I want to develop with it. So it quickly scanned through my Helm chart, found out that I have an image called cart dev. And I also have a development optimized image for it. And I'm exposing my application at 7000 port. That's it, done. So it has created a simple DevSpace YAML, which is your configuration file. So it has a section called pipeline, image, deployment, dev, commands, and dependencies. So in the interest of time, I'm going to first finish off the configurations that I have to do, and then we'll come back here and look at each of these sections in detail. So first step, the first challenge that Aditya had is with the dependencies, which I have added here now. So all of the other dependent microservices, the UI, users, everything is going to come up now. Next, I want to configure how I want to debug the YAML. So basically, what I'm going to do is replace this with my image. I'm going to leave the rest of the things the same way. Oh, Copilot helps, or sometimes Copilot doesn't help. Okay, so I know my debug port is on 6000 and my application is running in 7000. That's the configuration right now I've done. And I have to sync my local path into the container /app, which is also done. And in my development workflow, I want to build a dev image that I want. So I'm going to just replace that as well. And that's it. So I'm going to, okay, just for the folks at the back end, I'm going to clear my screen and run again, DevSpace dev. So what DevSpace dev is going to do is, it's going to read the YAML, understand the dependencies, and will start building the images and even deploy that into the cluster. So you can see that it has started to bring up the MongoDB and Redis, which is the first dependency. And there are other dependencies for this, which is the UI service and products and other things, which it has started to build and deploy now. So while we are waiting for DevSpace to build this image and also copy it into the kind cluster, we'll take a look at the YAML.
Already done.
Okay. So basically, pipeline is a section where you can specify your workflow. What has to be done as part of your dev or your deployment, or you can even bring in a custom thing, say rollback, and then run it. So the functions you see here are pre-built within DevSpace. You can also write your own functions and then use it here. So basically, run dependencies will deploy your dependencies. Start dev will pick this configuration and then start your application. So images is where you specify how to build your image. Deployment is where you specify which deployment charts to use. And command is something similar to pipeline. Pipeline, while it establishes a workflow, command gives you a single command which you can reuse multiple times. Say, for example, to clean up something, or maybe pull a secret, and so on. Okay, so it has went to a stage where it's building the card dev and copying it into the kind cluster. So basically, DevSpace understands the registry. So I'm using a kind cluster here. So it will build the image, copy the image into the kind cluster using kind load. If you're pointing to, say, an ACR or ECR, it will also understand that and push that image into the registry. Okay, so I will hand over to Naveen at this point to go ahead, debug the issue, and fix it.
Okay, so let's see. We can see all the other microservices are running. The cart microservice alone is coming up. So in the interest of time, let's also see what is happening in our local. One second. One second. Okay, let's open the application that is running in our local. So it's running in localhost 84. So here you can see this is a clusterly application which has product microservice and cart microservice, everything is running. So let's see what is the actual bug exactly. Before that, I think we need to have running. So in the interest of time, let's explain like what actually happening. So when we see this DevSpace dev, so it internally like sync our changes into the code, whatever the code changes that we are doing in local. So it will directly it is synced to there, and after that it will start it in the dev mode. So in the dev mode, which is nothing but like entry point. So this is where you defined like what is actually happening. So let me show the logs here. So this is, you can see, so initially in the actual deployment, this card deployment, so it is replaced with the developer mode. So this is what happening. So it uses image label for replacing that. So after that, the sync happening. Then we have put forward the 2 ports, which is 7,000 and 6,000. So then we have an interactive terminal where we can start our application. So let's start our application. So this is a like custom script I have given, which internally uses Gradle boot. Sorry. Yeah. So now we have started our application, which is running in 6,000. I mean debugger in 6,000 port. So while this is building, so let's wait for some time. So it's compiling all the classes. So whatever the code changes that we are doing, so it will be synced locally. So let me go to my code. So this is the Java code that I have opened in my local. So this is the like cart API, which is doing the calculation. So whenever I am adding an item, so this is where so actual calculation is happening. So let's put a breakpoint here. Once server is started, we will like attach the debugger and debug. So now we can see the server is started. Now let me go to the IDE. Okay. So now I have added the item to the cart. So now the actual bug is, so when I try to change the shipping, like standard shipping or expert shipping, the shipping cost also need to add to the total, but this is not happening. So this is the bug. So usually we will do the log, if we have our logs, we will just go there and see the logs and see what is happening. So but it's usually time taking. So instead of that, for a faster feedback loop, what we can do means, here we can directly connect. So let me pass the breakpoint. Now we have hit the breakpoint. Okay. Now we can see this is where tax calculation is happening and shipping is calculated. So now I got the issue. So before shipping is added to the total, we are just setting the total object. So because of this, the shipping cost, even though it's calculated, it's not getting updated. So let me fix the issue. So this debugger is like we can attach or detach as ever needed. So I have stopped. Starting again. So now, like I have, it will just sync the code internally, and it will start again. So for some reason, sync is like not opening, so I have restarted again. So while this is happening, so it will take some time for Gradle boot run. So let me go to the slides. So in the interest of time. So let's see a recap of what actually is happening. So here we are creating a kind ephemeral cluster. So for example, here in this use case, we are using this cluster for reproducing a bug and fixing it, but it doesn't have to be that. We even, for a particular feature or any particular use case you are working, you can create ephemeral branches for that, and you can just clean them up. So, and for bringing up, we just have to use like DevSpace dev as we did. It's easy to set up. So the next main point is the cluster is very simple. With simple YAML, we created a single cluster, but we can even create multi-cluster as seen. Similarly, most of us ask the question, like my company have 10 to 1,000 microservices. Do I have to run all of them in local? No, it doesn't have to be that way. So for that particular cases, you can only run the dependent services only in our local. So if for even complicated cases, we don't have to do it this way also. Even in last session, like in vCluster with Backstage, we have saw like in Siemens like session, we can even create a cluster in that way also. Even that also will help. So let's go to the like next thing. So under the hood, what DevSpace is happening? So DevSpace like help us to achieve the rapid inner development loop. So basically, whatever the code change we did, it internally sync with the cluster instantaneously. So without like effort of scrolling through the logs and grepping and see nothing is happening, we can just put a debug point and like debug what is exactly happening. So it's a quicker feedback loop. And also, since this is YAML driven, we saw how interactive for us to create, like which DevSpace in it, which will ask question about our project, even what tech stack it's using, and what is the port I want to expose. We can even easily create our configuration. So that is just a tweak beyond. So whatever the pipeline we have see like dev and deploy and I mean image pipeline, it doesn't that we can even extend beyond, which is very highly customizable. So then let's go to the next slide.
Naveen claimed that he fixed the issue, but I never leave him that way. Let's quickly check whether he has really fixed the issue. Oh, unfortunately, like live demos go, it's still
yeah, we have backup recording. Let's switch to the recording. Okay. Yes, everything worked fine. I think as of live demo curse, it's happening still. So basically, next, what are the steps are? We have fixed the issue in our local. Then we are going to push the same changes to our AKS environment, staging environment that we are having with the like minor changes. So in the deploy pipeline, we will show in the like video. We are just going to tweak the YAML with simple 2 or 3 steps, with which we are able to push all the changes into our ACR repository. Yeah.
Okay. So what you're seeing here is, again, we have fixed the issue in the local. And when we say change the shipping cost, now it is supposed to get added, which you can see. Now this is done, but this is not enough. This is in your local. Obviously, sometimes your local is not always in sync with your staging, right? So that's where we can easily switch to your staging NV by making a very few changes again to the same YAML. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to switch to the AKS context. So from kind, I'm switching to the AKS context. And then if you look at it, the AKS NV is already accessible. So this is our AKS NV, where all the deployments are already there. Now I have to just replace my cart deployment alone with the fix. So I'm going to switch back to the DevSpace YAML and make a very few changes similar to what we already saw. So basically, we are going to change the image. So for pushing into Azure, obviously you have to push your image into the ACR. So we're going to copy and bring that change here, and also change your manifests into what is required for Azure, and then customize my deploy pipeline to directly push that into the AKS. So you can see I've added 2 sections to the images section. One is app and the other being Azure. So what this helps us is to separate your things like a profile. So you can have something for your local, and you can also something for your staging NV. So basically now we have created 2 deployments and 2 ways to build image and modify my deploy pipeline to always log into ACR, build the Azure image, and then push that into the actual ACR NV.
So only requirement is like you have to log in ACR in local. So that is done by this command, first command. So this is the like ACR Azure deployed.
So here it still has the issue, and now we are going to just run deploy, and it's going to build, find out that it's actually an ACR NV, and it will log in, and it will also push the image and deploy my manifests into the AKS NV. And once it's applied, the issue would be fixed even in the ACR NV. Okay, so Aditya is now back. He's able to complete all his tasks within 12 minutes. He's able to create a cluster, debug. If Wi-Fi is actually not like here, then probably it's going to work within few minutes. Commit, fix, and deploy. Within 12 minutes, he has fixed this issue. So he's into the pro world now. So we want to share few of our learnings. We have deployed both of these tools in AppViewX. We were able to cut our onboarding time from a day to an hour. And our feedback loop also got reduced to minutes. Developers used to spend time where they need to wait for a CA build, copy the image, or maybe wait for the staging NV to be available and so on. We were able to slash that time. And instead of giving these tools directly to the developers, we created an internal tooling, we call it DevPilot, where we wrap all these developer tools that is required for platform engineering. It helps us to give more flexibility. We are able to switch the tools underneath. This abstraction helps us. And maybe Naveen, you can continue with the other.
Yeah, sure. So what basically we are achieving is like instant code comprehension. So with this kind of, instead of going to logs, we are able to even find the issue very early. So this gives us like developer more understanding on the code. So can even one line of code if he is doing, he know what is he is doing. So this gives more responsibility over the code. So which will reduce the bugs, and also productivity of will be increased. So next, the basic is shift left. So instead of doing everything in production or late, we are doing everything even very faster. So in our case, like kind and DevSpace help, it doesn't have to be that way. We should focus on solving the problem instead of like tools. So that is our like.
Okay. So we'll share the slide deck. It has all the references for the data points that we showed earlier, all the surveys that we looked up, and the demo. It's time for Q&A. We also have a QR for the demo code, and maybe we can also connect. These QR codes actually will take you to our LinkedIn profile. So yeah, any Q&A?
Any questions?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
So I have been using Scaffold for quite some time now. How does that differ from the DevSpace?
Okay, we've also looked at Scaffold, but the main difference is we found is Scaffold doesn't have the pipeline feature where you keep everything within a single YAML. So usually Scaffold wants you to create different YAMLs for profiles, but pipeline is something which was a game changer for us because we are able to bring in custom flows. We can bring, like I said, right, we can bring a rollback pipeline, you can bring in any custom things that you want. And the second thing that we actually liked about DevSpace is it was developer friendly from the day one. It used to have all the templates out of box. For example, the kind loading the image automatically. But that is something which it was giving out of box instead of we writing custom commands to do that.
Because my experience was a little bit different. Like most developers were saying Scaffold was a little easier to use.
Sorry, actually it's not very clear, the question.
Not audible.
Yeah, my experience was a little bit different. Like the Scaffold was a little easier to use for the new developers compared to the DevSpace.
All right.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, am I audible? Yeah. Okay, so AMD versus ARM images, right? So like a MacBook M1s, right? Like we were having trouble kind of building in local, like which are ARM-based infrastructure. and then the remote, which is AMD, like the Linux-based system. So now with the two architectures, right, like developing between like a local and the remote has been a challenge. So we tried kind cluster in local, but it doesn't work out well. So Docker Compose has been what we have been using, right?
Okay.
So what are the takeaways if I want to use DevSpace in, say, MacBook M1s, right? Like ARM-based architecture, but the remote servers, the Azure or AKS, whatever it is the Linux AMD-based servers. Have you kind of faced any of those challenges?
Kind and DevSpace are two different tools, and
Right.
we wanted to solve two different problems. One,
Okay.
to create ephemeral test clusters,
Okay.
and DevSpace allows you for connecting with those clusters and then troubleshoot. Now, instead of kind, you can use any tool. Like Naveen mentioned, yesterday we had a session on using vCluster to spin up your ephemeral clusters.
Got
And
it.
once your ephemeral cluster is up and running, if you're able to bring up the kube config into your local, you can still continue to use DevSpace to solve the second set of your problem.
Okay, then DevSpace can give me an option along with the Docker file maybe to provide platform as well, that okay, build this image for ARM-based image or like maybe Linux AMD-based image.
Correct. You can configure those within the DevSpace. Yes.
Yeah, and second is like if the Docker build is like really huge, right, or heavy, like does the real-time reflecting of the code, right, like once you do, have you seen any challenges where like application is really big and then you still end up like
Okay.
almost
Actually,
same time
during
as-
development, it's not building the Docker image every now and then. It's only syncing your local files into the container, and you can use your own command to bring up your application. But while deploying, obviously, it's going to build your image. And usually, whatever optimizations you apply to your build stage will also apply the same here. So you can have multi-stage builds so that the layers which are already built doesn't have to be built again, and cache them to make it faster.
Got it. Yeah, more like at the Docker file level optimizations that we have to do, right? Like because Python-based development is different from Java-based.
Yes.
Python does not really have to be compiled, right? If you
Correct.
just able to sync the folder, it will just start interpreting like
Exactly,
right away, right?
yes.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, yes.
Hi.
Hi.
I had another question which was similar to that. So when
So I think you're not audible. Yes.
I had another question which was similar to that which was previously asked. So when you were making the change to the code and then you had rerun the DevSpace dev command.
Correct.
Is that something you have to do always when you make the change, or is it something
No,
reconciled?
ideally DevSpace will sync the files automatically from your local into the dev container. In our case, during the live demos, due to some misconfiguration, it's not doing the actual sync. But ideally, you don't have to run DevSpace dev multiple times. You have to just run it once. DevSpace will watch for the changes in your local files and then sync into the container.
Okay, cool.
So even like Gradle, rerun is enabled. So with the changes pushed, it will detect and it will restart the server itself. So our changes will be instantly there. So there is no build or anything. So even the dev pipeline is customizable. So for demo only we have created from scratch. So we can skip that, only have dev pipeline, actual dev, start dev. So it will just start it and it will sync the file and it will start it. So we have everything running in instant. So that's the advantage.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.